say if you were a customer and you bought some stuff and you wanted us to plant it, we would head out to your property and you would get like a 30-minute heads up. And when we arrive, the first thing we're going to do is walk you through the paperwork. We would verify the plant product that you purchased, make sure the species is correct. We'd let you look at the products as well if you wanted to look at it before. And then we also want to verify the site that we're going to be planting at. We're going to make sure it's in a site that doesn't have any utilities. So right here, we're actually out of one of the windbreaks on the farm here. And this is a bur oak, and we got a whole row of them off to the west here. So luckily we didn't have any utilities to worry about out here. But if this was a city application, we would definitely want to make sure there's no gas lines, water lines, electrical, that kind of stuff buried beneath the surface. We will always go ahead and make that 811 call for the customer. So when we show up the day of the planting, that work has already been done. We should already have utilities located. They are going to put flags in your yard or something like that. But we'll verify that there's no utilities. And then also the homeowners, if they have like an in-ground sprinkler system, we want to make sure that we're avoiding all of that stuff as well. So yeah, we didn't have to worry about that out here. But we actually sometimes we'll use machine equipment. So this was a number 15, which that's just referring to the size of the bag. It's about this big around and about this tall. So if we're doing a lot of those, we like to use our machines. It's kind of like a miniature skid steer basically that has a big auger on it. So it's kind of fun to operate, and it really makes the work go a lot quicker. If it's just a couple trees, we can hand dig too. We will go ahead. I like to use my pruners. When we're planting those root balls, some of them are small, some of them are big, but you want to basically break those out so they're facing outwards, not going in a circle. So I like to use my pruners, and I'll literally just kind of scratch the outside of that root ball just to kind of tease those roots and let them know that they're no longer in a bag. So we did that, we dropped it in the hole, and when I plant these, you can kind of see at the base of the tree here, you have the caliper and then it starts to flare out. And right where it flares out, you can start to see the roots starting to go outwards, and that is where we want the top, or we basically want that even with the ground. You don't want to bury the dirt up to here, and you don't want to mulch it up to here either. This needs to be able to be right at that ground level. Then we put a mulch ring around it. There's multiple reasons for this. The first one would be just weed control. It's really going to help keep the weeds down. No matter if you're out in the country or city, always mulch these. It'll keep more water for the tree. If you're in Lincoln or Omaha or somewhere that has nice manicured lawns. It's interesting, when we dig holes, the driest ground is usually under that green turf, so it's kind of greedy with water. So it also insulates it from the cold in the wintertime. So it's just all around a good practice. And then we staked it. Sometimes we'll use a fiberglass stake depending how big the tree is, but this one is big enough. We like to put a couple of T-posts in, and then we have these nylon straps. And this basically just gives it added support because those roots have not rooted into the ground around it yet. So that first year, we typically will leave these on, and after the first year or two, based on like the site, if it's a really protected location, you might be able to take them off sooner, but we'll probably take these off in about a year or so. If we were planting in like a city and this was by somebody's house, I always like to, you have these nice branches coming off here. I always like to check with the customer and see if they have a preference which direction that tree is turned, because I know I'm kind of picky in my yard. I really like to get the aesthetic of, a certain perspective of the tree looks better than others. So I like to see if they have a preference that way, and we'll kind of customize it for them. Once we're done planting, we like to explain the importance of watering and mulching and weed control. All of those things are going to affect the long-term health of the tree or the shrub. So if you let weeds go right up around the trunk, that's going to be sucking a lot of the moisture away from that tree. So trees are an investment, so you want to take care of it just like a pet. So before we leave, we are always going to give our customer kind of a post-planting care sheet, and it has all the information from watering to just different things throughout the first couple of years that they need to be thinking about. You keep the weeds down, you keep it watered, you give it that added support from the wind and stuff while it's getting established. You're going to have a really good tree for many years to come.